Who do I have? Poirier or Islam? I mean, it's really hard to have Poirier as a favorite. I mean, Poirier is a huge dog. And I think Poirier should be a huge dog. I don't think you can really make a rational argument for like Poirier beats Islam. Like, you'd have to be like a super technical savant guy at analyzing fighting, I think. And borderline insane to be like, yeah, Poirier's got a huge edge on Islam. I don't think that's very likely to be the case. So yeah, you have to basically be betting on. If you want just talking about favorites, you'd have to say that Islam's the favorite, right? Like, I think that's pretty obvious. But if you follow fighting, but if you like, is Poirier underpriced? Because everybody knows that Islam's going to win, right? That's a different question, right? Is Poirier underpriced as far as betting goes? Probably not. I don't think so. I think, the last time I checked the lines, I thought he was still overestimated, to be honest. But I think, like, the odds of him winning were pegged at like 15% or something with the way the lines were set up at the time. And, like, does he win if they fight 7 times? Like, if he reran this 7 times, like, does he win one? Right? Probably not. But, so I think you probably, if you wanted to bet, you'd probably still have to bet Islam, which kind of sucks because the line's not very good. But I think it's probably not. I would side with, like, and I'm pretty value oriented. Like, I would rather bet someone that's like, laying really great odds as opposed to the favorite that's like just not paying enough. But I just don't think that. I think that Poirier's chances are pretty slim. Which poker sites are the staked players required to play on? They're not required to play on any sites, so that's like pretty open, because it depends on the market that the player is in, right? Like some, like for people that are playing casually, obviously you only really think about the markets you have access to, like the sites you have access to. But there are like ring fence markets, for example, in Ontario and Canada, right? Like you're playing on PokerStars, but it's like, or GG, but it's like PokerStars Ontario or GG Ontario. If you're playing in British Columbia, where I'm playing, then you're playing on PokerStars or GG, but it's an international pool, right? But you can also play on some other sites as well. Yeah, he's like, I'm not folding much, but I'll fold that. Well, that's fine. I didn't have much either. Yeah, so there are like ring fence markets. There are certain sites that don't operate in certain countries. There are some countries where no sites operate, so that we don't stake in those countries. It just depends. So, right, like we're pretty country agnostic, like fairly country agnostic. So, like, we have to be sort of. I say country agnostic, we're not really, but like we're mostly country agnostic. Like, the issue isn't obviously that we have a problem with any country. The issue is, like, if you only have one site to play on, then it's risky for like a number of different perspectives. It's like, how much opportunity is there for you on that one site, right? We have to evaluate it. Like, can you play on that site and like make a living? If this is successful, will this work to get you playing? Is there enough volume at higher limits for this to like be sustainable for you if you get good at it? My limping range is not very wide, so, and that includes actually going down pairs too. Like, I don't have deuces here, for example. So I think bluffing with this is actually like pretty logical in the context of the hands that I would actually limp with. I'm limping like a bunch of like Broadway. You guys have seen me limp a hand like King Jack. So I'm limping Broadway. I'm limping ace high hands. I'm not really limping like 6-7 suited or anything like that. Yeah, I just can't do anything in these situations. I don't feel like it sucks. I wouldn't be limping like 6-7 suited or like 6-5 suited, so I can't bluff with something like that. I wouldn't be limping with like deuces, 3s, or 4s, so I can't bluff with something like that either. I wouldn't be limping with, so like if I don't have deuces, 3s, or 4s, and I don't have 6-7 suited, then how the fuck am I supposed to bluff on ace jack 10? Starts to get hard. It's like, well, what about queen 8 suited? And it's like, well, do I have queen 8 suited when everyone covers me in the PKO? Probably not. I probably don't have queen 8 suited, so that's out too. So like you're getting to like a very small subset of combos that are actually eligible to bluff the turn there. Pretty standard open. Not a lot I can do other than open. I mean, like, this hand's foldable against other positions. I think like hijack cutoff. This is probably not foldable, so I think we just have to call. 4-betting's like, I mean, I can make it like 6,000. Actually, I think that's kind of cool. I don't really think this hand's like great at flatting, so it's a little gross to put in like that large a fraction of my stack and then fold. But That's like the exact hand that I kind of want to do that with. I don't really want to do that in fold with like king jack suited. I don't really want to do that with a hand that like can make a straight either. So I feel like ace-6 and ace-7 suited are like kind of cute hands to do that with, and I could do it with, you know, kings or something. Queens. Seems like reasonable. Oh, that's a nice flop. Hey, we got some value, guys. We got some value. Pretty sure that hand has to fold if I double barrel that hand. I think that's called the maximum. Where did you get the posters? They're actually glass. They're glass. I have a buddy who, Herb, who is also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And we're calling. Hey, we dominate him. Let's fade the 7. Yay! I'll take the double. Yeah, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he actually gave me the Superman. He's like an aeronautics engineer, and he gave me the Superman, and kind of got me started with everything else that I have. So it's his fault that all this shit's all over the place. But he's an awesome dude. He's fun to hang out with, and yeah. So he gave me the Superman. And then, like, my daughter was, you know, his son trains jiu-jitsu when my daughter was training jiu-jitsu, and our families got pretty close during COVID. And he invited us to go to, like, an anime convention, and we didn't have anything to do, so we said yes. So, it's a good start. Kill some outs. Nope. Fuck! That's a bad run out. That's such a beautiful flop. Why do we get such a bad run out on such a beautiful flop? Rare BBZ stream. It is indeed rare. I'm not streaming a lot. I wasn't even going to stream today. Like, I was going to play. Like, I was like, I'm going to play, like, the 1K. I'm going to play, like, some 500s. I'm going to play the 109, like, you know, the 2 main events. I'm going to play some 530s and stuff. And it's like, you know, I mean, you know, it's, I don't know if it's, like, a mental health thing. It's not like I'm like a negative person. But I'm just like, you know, haven't streamed in forever. Like, you know, everybody else is going to be streaming. Nobody's going to watch anyway. You know, like, I'm rusty. I haven't played much. Because I haven't played much, I don't want to play the 10K. Everybody's going to be like asking, why aren't you playing the 10K? And then I'm going to feel pressure to play the 10K, and I don't want to feel that pressure to play the 10K because I don't want to play it. I have 10K if I want to play it. Like, it's not the money. I just don't like gambling. I don't like playing in games where, like, I don't know for a fact, like, that I have, where I feel like a lot of conviction that, like, I've done the work to be like, I deserve it. It's almost like, yeah, I know it's weird, but deserve it's a good word, I guess. I don't feel like I deserve to be in the 10Ks if I'm, like, not active, even if I've been studying a lot. If I'm not super active, I just don't feel like I deserve it. So when should, you know, you doubt your skill set? Like, you always doubt your skill set. You always doubt it. You're always like trying, you're always paranoid about it. It's just the way it is. Always looking to get better, always looking to improve, always looking, and like a part of like that desire to get better and improve is because you think you're not good enough. At least that was my case. You know, like a part of why I still coach like 20 to 30 hours a week right now. Like, I have a lot of money, like for like the way that I want to live my life. You know, I donate money. I support like members of my family. Like, you know, help both my parents out. Help my cousins out. Help my sisters out. Like, you know, like, and I don't mean that like it's like, it's just like I'm in a good spot. So like I can do it, so I do. Like, it just is what it is, right? Like, it's fine. But I still coach like 20 to 30 hours a week, and I still work like 50 to 60 hours a week because I kind of suffer from imposter syndrome. Like, if I'm not working, you know, like if I'm not working to get better, we just double barreled this and took it down. Sorry, guys. If I'm not working like all the time, I feel like I don't deserve it. So, and he'd be like, dude, you should go see a therapist. Probably. But I'm just telling you the truth. It's way easier to feel like you deserve it if you're like, you know, out there fucking getting it. I'll tell you that much. Well, I'm really comfortable and I got a great life and I got all these people that believe in me to teach them how to play poker and, like, you know, got good businesses and things are working and, you know, got this big portfolio and like that's working and, you know, like I work hard at that and it's great and blah 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 blah. Like so no crypto. I don't sell investment services, okay? So this is not like, but no crypto, no tech stocks, zero. No crypto, no tech stocks. No crypto, no tech stocks, no weed stocks, no meme stocks, nothing like that. Last year, my overall portfolio returns last year were 45% on the whole portfolio. And that's almost my entire net worth, okay? So like almost my entire net worth is in my portfolio. Last year, my total returns for the year were 45%, 1 year. Not lifetime, 1 year. So Like, if I don't want to do shit, I don't have to do it. But like, if I don't do shit, I don't feel like I deserve what I have. So I'm out here doing it because that's just the way that I am. Allison's been crushing. Jago played 3 tournaments and won 2 of them. Yeah, so those guys are both. I mean, Allison actually coached recently. Allison came back and Allison was like, "Yo, I watched some of your content recently, and it's been a long time since we worked together, and I just wanted to, I wanted you to help me out with some things." And I was like, "Okay." Like, I didn't know if I could, to be honest with you, because like Allison was a fucking savage. He led my Brazilian team when we were staking a few years back in Brazil, and we stake in Brazil now too. But we'd run an operation there, and he was one of the 2 guys in charge of it, him and Rodrigo. And he coached for my regular seminars as well, so he was like, he's super high level. He's good. He's also a fucking amazing human just in general. So very like sweetheart of a human being, awesome guy to be around. And yeah, he was like, I wanted you to like help me out, and I was like, kind of skeptical again because I'm kind of like, my natural inclination is like, bro, I don't even know if I can fucking help you out, but because of how good he is, not because I suck, but because of how good he is. And I was like, okay, I'll help you out. Let's just see what I can do. And then like afterwards, it worked. Like I was very helpful for him, and he let me know that I was very helpful for him. And I didn't know that he was doing well during Scoop, so thank you for telling me. And I'm sure I'll end up hearing from him after Scoop. But we fixed a couple things that were sort of a big deal, like just before Scoop. So he was like, I was coaching him literally before Scoop, for Scoop, and to hear that Scoop went well for him is really nice. So thank you for telling me. I basically think it matters if you have like ace queen, or basically like ace queen through ace 9, I think are like, basically like structurally, like fundamentally better hands than like ace 7 and below, because I'm actually drawing to a live 2-pair. So even though like ace queen through ace deuce or whatever are the same hand on the turn, they're really not, because like one of them, like the ones that have overcards to the 8 are drawing to a better 2-pair. So I think that they are the ones that are obligated to call the turn. And then maybe there's mixing across that particular subset of hands against that bet size, but maybe not. David, I applied for a stake and got approved, but no emails back. You got approved, but you didn't get an email back. How'd you get approved without an email back? Also curious how to move up stakes while being staked. Obviously win consistently, but what else is there? I mean, your win rate, it's helpful if your win rate's good. It's helpful if you're like just active in the community, like, asking questions, answering questions, participating, like high win rates. I mean, we're making a bet, right? Like when we stake someone, like you just want to boil it down to like, we're betting on someone to win money. If you look like a high, follow directions, right? Like if we tell you to play, a $10 ABI and you're playing a $30 ABI, it's probably a problem. Like most things are just common sense, and then you just stick with them for a long time, I think. So you don't have to do anything special, right? If you win a bunch of money, have a good win rate, show up to coaching, aren't an asshole, like be nice to work with, probably it'll be easier to climb limits, right? What are the most important stats when looking at database analysis? I mean, like the coaches are basically just looking, like when I'm coaching someone, I'm just looking for something that's wrong. The stats increase in importance as you go earlier in the tree. So they decrease in importance later, right? So like you want to be, you want to have the pre-flop strategy, right? Because it happens all the time. So if you're, like if someone's opening, if someone's 3-betting 7-2 offsuit under the gun versus under the gun +1, that's a pretty big mistake, right? And that would be probably worse than most other mistakes you could make, because you're going to lose tournaments really fast if you're doing that. Now you're probably not doing that, so you're probably like, no shit. But, the answer is still the same way. That still means that that's the answer to your question though. Like, what mistakes matter the most? I mean, like the pre-flop ones matter the most. You also can't really use the tools, right? Like people tend to think they can use the tools, the post-flop tools. But, you want to think about the post-flop tools like a solver or an AI, like it doesn't matter, as like basically, pre-flop range A times pre-flop range B times stack depth equals output, right? Obviously times, right, is a bullshit function, but you get the idea. Interactions from pre-flop range A with pre-flop range B at a given stack depth yields output, which is where output is post-flop strategy. So A's pre-flop range, B's pre-flop range, adjusted for the stack depth, equals post-flop strategy. There's really nothing else to it. Like there's ICM adjusted stuff, but like at its fundamentals, that's what matters. So if you change the pre-flop range, you'll change the outputs. So if you have like very different pre-flop strategy from the AI or the solver's pre-flop strategy, the post-flop outputs you're looking at aren't relevant for you, because maybe the solver is telling you like, yo, you don't have to bluff with like king 9 on the river here. And you're like, great, I didn't bluff with king 9, so like I'm doing great. And it's like, well, the reason it's not bluffing with king 9 is because it's bluffing with king 4. And if you didn't open king 4, then you have a problem, right? So then you have to bluff with something else, and maybe like the next bluff up would be king 9, and so you just screwed up. You think you played fine because the solver agreed with your play, but you have a radically different preflop strategy than the solver. So it's not as relevant, right? And so you want to get your strategy, your preflop strategy dialed in. And a lot of people think they have the preflop strategy dialed in, but every single 100% of people that I have coached do not have the preflop strategy dialed in. And I've coached like guys with 1K ABIs. I've coached guys with $500 ABIs, $300 ABIs. I've coached guys that have $20 ABIs and $5 ABIs, and everybody screws up the preflop strategy. Everybody. And most people, even the high stakes guys, don't do enough work on their own to where they analyze their own game to know how they're screwing up their own preflop strategy. And that might sound ridiculous. I don't care if it sounds ridiculous. It's still true. So I think this is fine. This is mandatory. I think we keep betting here. Hey, I didn't want to lose the hand, so that was nice. So yeah, everybody screws up the preflop strategy at least a little bit. And you want to get the preflop strategy dialed in. And then I would add to that the you can lead here. More because my range is so strong when I call sandwich than because like the ace paired. Yeah, so like when you're thinking about post-flop strategy, pre-flop range matters a lot. Everybody fucks it up. The degree to which they screw it up is obviously going to be different, but yeah, the most important thing is to get the pre-flop strategy right. I was saying something else too, but I forgot what it was, so oh well. I think we're just going to squeeze this in. Calling might be better in this format, I'm not sure. Like, again, I'm not the PKO guy, so. Chips, I'm good in chips. I'd stack my chip strategy up against almost anybody, but PKOs, I'm not as good. I don't really worry about this. I think that this, like, I'm still in fine shape here. Okay, well, I need help. Take a deuce. I'll take a deuce. That's not a deuce. Sad face. All right, so once we get past pre-flop, so I'll go back and I'll keep answering your question because you're clearly dissatisfied at least a little bit, which is okay. Once we get past pre-flop, I mean, like you just kind of keep working through it. There's no magic trick. It's not like a magic thing. You know, you want your 1-win soft flop if you're looking for like an aggregate number. Like you want your 1-win soft flop to be pretty high from most positions. You want that percentage to be pretty good. But I wouldn't say it's you know, I think checking here is a pretty good idea too. I don't think you have to bet here. Yeah. You know, 1-win soft flop's is like a good aggregate number that like people kind of undervalue, don't appreciate enough, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I think for the most part, when I do database analysis, I'm mostly looking through, like I'm scanning it for something to be wrong. I'm not really looking at it for like numbers to be exact, right? I'm looking to make sure that there's nothing that's obviously like basically stupid about the person's strategy, right? Because if there's something stupid about it, we'll just fix that right now. Most of the people that hire me don't really have that. Like there's not that much that I do with database analysis. There's a bit for sure. It used to be a lot more. You know, like 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago. There used to be like more that would come out of doing database analysis with people, but there's not that much, and that a part of that is because I'm a better coach. So, like, I've developed filters for like almost every single scenario in No Limit, in chips. and I can filter for all of those scenarios. And basically, like, the way that I teach is through like a pretty generic concept of like skill acquisition. So we're gonna take someone and we're just gonna make sure they know exactly how to do everything. And if when I run filters against certain scenarios, like they're doing very well, they're doing exactly what they need to do, all that means is that we move through that filter very quickly, right? So like the database analysis I use like as an upfront to identify what is really stupid about someone's strategy, if anything. Oftentimes, you know, like guys like Allison hire me, right? Guys like, you know, Ape Styles wants me to work with him on this fucking WPT format thing, right? Like, whatever we're gonna do, like Ape Styles not gonna do anything stupid, right? So like we're trying to figure stuff out. We're trying to figure out a format. You know, Allison's not doing something that's like obviously moronic, or he would just stop doing it. He doesn't like want to pay me hundreds of dollars an hour to just tell him to stop doing something that he could figure out himself. So, so like a lot of the times I get hired, and it's not really the case that like database analysis does anything. So I don't rely on it that much. But yeah, I would say that that's most of it. Like, I run filters against every single spot, and that, like, you know, if like, hey, I look at 15, 20 hands, which takes no time at all. I'm just like clicking pretty fast. It's like, hey, this looks great, awesome. Like, well, how? Like, I'll, you know, we'll look at the first hand. I'm like, so how do you think about this? Just tell me, how do you think about it? Like, and I'll probe with different types of questions, and I'll stop them. They'll start talking, and I'll be like, okay, can you stop? Can you just like elaborate about how you think about that part of it? And then you know, and then we keep going. And if like everything sounds like they have a really good understanding of how this particular filter works, and it'll take like 5 minutes. Then we move to the next one, and then we go to the next one, and then we go to the next one, and then we go to the next one, and then eventually, that's if they're really, really good, right? And then eventually we will settle in on something where it's like, okay, that's not how it works. Like, I understand that you think that that's how it works, and that does correlate. Usually, it does correlate some kind to some degree, right? Right? Because usually, the better the player is, like for them to get confused, the thing that they think is true has to be true like 30% of the time, right? Because if the thing that they think is true is never true, then they're never going to get the wrong. They're always going to get the wrong answer from a solver, and so they're not going to be confused. They're just going to be like, well, what I think's wrong. So there's no confusion there. The problem is like when there are like, you know, some shades of gray around a certain area, and so maybe they're not sensitive enough to sizing or like whatever it is. So they'll be right a little bit. It'll like kind of correlate with the right answer just enough that they can't find it. The strategy will be good enough overall that it doesn't show up in database analysis, but it's wrong, right? And so it'll lead to like really bad outcomes a fraction of the time, and they're just like not really aware of these really bad outcomes that they're getting themselves into. And I'll explain how it works, and then we'll run my strategy basically against the spots, against the AI outputs, over and over and over again, so that they get confidence that like my strategy, like my way of thinking about it, is actually an improvement from their way of thinking about it. And then we will, you know, move on to the next spot, and the next spot, and the next spot, and the next spot. We just keep bang, 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 bang. We just keep going, and that's pretty much what it is. So, you know, I would say that 5 years ago, database analysis was like undervalued as a coaching mechanism or a coaching tool. I would say today, database analysis is probably overvalued as a coaching mechanism or a coaching tool. At least if you're coaching people that I coach, like where they're paying a lot of money for coaching. So, you know, oftentimes they have like the skill set to like not obviously suck at stuff. Jordan, expanding on getting the pre-flop strategy dialed in, how do you recommend getting a stronger pre-flop strategy? So, so we have pre-flop charts you can use. GTO Wizard has pre-flop charts you can use. Get yourself some charts and then memorize the perimeter of those ranges, right? But what you really need is you need that to be a very functional understanding. Like, you need to know it. Like, so the way that I explain it to horses, students, CFPs, students, like whoever, like people that I work with, is you need to know your pre-flop range is the same way like you answer the question like, what color is the sky, right? You say blue. Or if I ask you like what's 5 plus 5, right? Because maybe if you live in British Columbia where I live, you say the sky is gray. So you know, if we want one answer to the question, right? Like, what's 5 plus 5, right? The answer is 10. And you know, most people who are adults who are interested in playing poker, they don't have to like go, you know, take their fingers out and count. So a 6-year-old, my daughter, she's almost 7. If I ask her, she's only 7. Like, she's going to be 7 in a little bit. But if I ask her what 5 plus 5 is, she'll just say 10, okay? But if I ask her what like 11 plus 8 is, she's gonna have to think about it for a couple seconds. She'll do it, but you'll have to think about it for a couple seconds. And that's how most people who are pros know their pre-flop range, right? Most people who are pros know their pre-flop range the same way my daughter knows 11 plus 8, which is more like she doesn't know it. She can just think about it for a little bit and figure out what it is. That's sort of what she's doing. She can solve for it well. This might be like, I'm sorry guys, this might be like pure squeeze, but it's really awkward with this player stack depth here. So I'd rather 3-bet like king queen and then it's just like polar. It's easy. Like if I 3-bet king queen and this player 4-bet jams, I fold. But if I 3-bet this hand and then like I don't know what to do. I don't know if like I'm supposed to be calling it off or not. So I mean like I know the overflats plus EV and I'm gonna have a 3-bet bluffing range. And this is gonna not include this hand. And I think it's supposed to include this hand, but it just won't. So it is what it is. So yes, like when we talk about knowing the pre-flop ranges, we want to know the pre-flop ranges the same way that you know 5 plus 5 equals 10. Right, so you want to know, buttons is suited 5s and offsuit 8s, right? Cutoff is suited 6s and offsuit 7s, so suited 6s and offsuit 9s, and I was thinking with the hijack. And the hijack is suited 7s and offsuit 10s. So you want to be able to know that in a functional way so that you can, on the river, think about the pre-flop ranges in a way that helps you to understand what value bets to you, like what the value bets would likely be, what the bluffs would likely be, whether the river subtracted bluffs from your range. You need to know your opponent's range, and you want to be able to like think about it in a very functional way. So there's for the button cutoff hijack, it's just like a step change. So like 5, 6, 7 on the suited side, 8, 9, 10 on the offsuit side, right? So 5, 6, 7. So button suited 5s, cutoff suited 6s, hijack suited 7s, button offsuit 8s, cutoff offsuit 9s, hijack offsuit 10s. But the way to do this is to spend a lot of time just learning the perimeters of these ranges. You just really want to learn the perimeters of these ranges. With the 5-4 of clubs, was that a range bet for the opponent there? I don't necessarily think so, but I don't remember now. 4 off the money. I think there's much else that I can do with this hand. 23 big blinds or whatever. I think we just jam. Hope to get called by jacks. Or take the pot down pre-flop. Yeah, so how do I get myself to do all of the boring aspects of the game? I mean, like, I think that, today, because, like, the way that I did it was you play and you study off the tables, like, a lot. Like, and it's just hours and you just brute force it. That was the way that I did it, which I think is it's really important, I think, when I talk to people who are trying to get better at poker, that I think about the way that I was getting better at poker when I was then, right? Instead of, like, what I do now. Because what I do now might not be as like pragmatic for people, and I'm not gonna have the right perspective, so I try not to think about what I would do now. But you kind of have to check that against the fact that the tools are better. So there are lots of tools that are available right now that weren't available when I was trying to get better and learn the pre-flop ranges. And so, right, so like, what would I do now? I would use a trainer. Like, you would just want to use a trainer, man. I mean, like, I don't know of a better way to do it than that. So I would say that today, when we try to learn the pre-flop ranges, you want to focus on memorizing the perimeter of those ranges, and right, so the outlines of the ranges, the bottoms of the ranges, because obviously if you know the bottom, then you'll open everything above it. So think about the bottoms of the ranges, and then focus on what your pre-flop range is on the flop, turn, and river. So don't just think about nothing on the flop, turn, and river. And don't pretend like you're thinking, right? Like, most people, when they're playing like live poker and they take like 3 minutes in the time bank, right? They're not like counting combos or doing like some kind of really rigorous analysis, right? Most of the time what they're doing in their head is some version of like red, black, red, black, red, black, red, black, red, black. And then at the end, when they finally wait 3 minutes, they're like black. And like, there's no difference. It's 50-50 the whole way through. They have no idea what they're doing. And then they just take forever and they just pick a button. But they just were really just between left and right. And they didn't add any value to their quality of their decision if they made it in 3 minutes or in 30 seconds or in 5 seconds. They just guessed. So if you want to think about something on the flop, turn, river, think about like, what is in my pre-flop range that's interacting with this board? What's in my pre-flop range that interacts with this turn? What's in my pre-flop range? How does this river card interact with my pre-flop range? Because that's actually what fucking matters. Like, if the river interacts with your pre-flop range on the bottom end, then your bluffs have moved up. Because like, if the bottom of your range is an 8 and an 8 rolls off on the river, then the bottom of your range is a 9. So you're gonna have to bluff with 9s now, where before you're gonna bluff with 8s, right? So, yeah. So like, on the flop, turn, and river, think about your pre-flop range. Use trainers, right? We have a trainer but you can use other trainers, right? You can use GTO as a trainer and just drill. So that's what I would do today. Today I would use, like, I'd be making sure that you're actually thinking about your pre-flop range, or the other guy's pre-flop range across flops, turns, and rivers, which is probably the most important thing. And then the second most important thing is to use a trainer off the tables for the spots that you want to get better at. And then you want to drill the most important spots, right? Like button opening, big blind calling, small blind calling, like small blind call versus button open, small blind call versus cutoff open, button cutoff open, big blind call versus button open, big blind call versus cutoff open. And then, like, you can worry about their other positions later, like hijack, EP, MP, etc. I saw someone ask about the music, and I was like, I forgot I had music because I hadn't been listening to it for so long. But it's been talking. So what happens when I start to play less tables, I can talk more. Yeah, so with the pre-flop charts, I would say, like, a big part of the pre-flop charts, okay, so, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. I don't really share my filters normally, but I keep getting asked this question, so, like, which is fine. Like, you guys can ask, it's cool. So, and it's not that big of a deal. It's not like a complicated filter, right? Okay, so, like, ace of clubs makes sense. Queen jack, queen 10, queen 9, queen 8 makes sense. Like, the weaker queen X make the most sense. Like ace queen, and queen jack probably makes even like a little bit less sense, but yeah, the weakest queen X here, pretty logical. Ace, every club, like, I mean, like, this player could probably bet the flop with a lot of one club hands, but I don't think it's, like, unreasonable to have some that check back. And then I lead the turn and I get 2-bet. And I mean, like, the jack of clubs is, like, a pretty likely candidate here. Like the jack of clubs, the 10 of clubs. I wouldn't say jack 10 of clubs. I think that probably bets the flop a lot. But I would say, like, just the jack of clubs, naked jack of clubs, jack 8 offs with the jack of clubs, 10 8 offs with the 10 of clubs. Those hands make a lot of sense. Pocket 10s, pocket jacks, they probably shouldn't make that much sense, but they probably do for most people. And there's no, like, I don't think the jack of clubs is, like, a very easy call on this river for most people. So I just think that there's, like, a decent chance that I'm getting folds from, like, almost the whole range. Obviously I don't have ace queen. I could have king queen now. Still, I can have king queen. I can still have deuces. I can still have, obviously, like, it's possible that I would have still had the jack of clubs. But I just felt like this range was like jack of clubs, 10 of clubs, 9 of clubs, 8 of clubs at best. Like jack 10, 9 of clubs specifically at best. And I actually felt like there was a lot, which could make me call, but if I actually felt like there was a lot of queen X bluffs that someone might use. Like duplicating boats, blocking boats and things. Which I don't think is, like, a very good idea, but I think they should probably call. But yeah, so I ended up jamming. And just don't feel like I'm getting called by, like, the jack 10, 9 of clubs at the clip that I needed to make it bad. I felt like that was the whole value range. I didn't feel like there were boats in the value range. If that player doesn't figure out that boats aren't in the value range, then minus pocket kings, then they don't call it anything. So I thought there was a chance that I was free rolling the range with the raise, and that I would never lose. There's a chance. I'm not saying that. I think that's the base case, but I know that. But on the turn, I know that. But I mean, I'm speaking about on the turn. On the turn, he could have had the ace of clubs. On the river, he can't. 100%. Yeah. But yeah, the basic argument was that, like, I felt like the value betting range was very dense, like jack 10, 9 of clubs, and like I said, that like a lot of players won't figure out that they don't have boats there, and that I don't really have boats there, and they'll just end up folding too high up. Especially if you can figure it out fast. So I can figure it out pretty quick. I mean, I think that was pretty fast, to be honest with you. Like, I give myself a little pat on the back. I don't think I took very long to figure that out. So a lot of people assume that you can't figure out that you don't, that boat ratios are low, like, very quickly. And so when you act, like, really quickly in a spot that they view as complicated, they're going to think that you have the nuts. Because that's the easiest part of the range to act quickly with. You get paid for thinking fast. So we flatted here pre-flop. Do I change my HUD stats? Not in any meaningful way. The HUD stats that matter are the pre-flop stats. Especially if you're someone like me. Where someone like me is just someone that doesn't play that often. That's not like a brag. Like, if you're someone like me, meaning you're someone that doesn't play a lot, then the pre-flop stats matter the most. That's what you're going to use to make decisions. I'm not really going to be able to, like, leverage someone's, fold to sieve it on the river, because I'm not going to have a sample. But pre-flop information is very helpful. Do I have any coop titles? Nope. Never won a coop. Sad face. But I mean, for my like actual professional poker playing career, I was a sit and go player, not a tournament player. I streamed tournaments at the highest stakes you can play pretty much, but I wasn't grinding at the time for a living. I was already very deep on the coaching business side of poker, staking. So I'm not the guy to have a bunch of coop titles. In tournaments, my success would be on party poker. I was very successful on party. So what do you think about betting 75% on rivers with value and bluffs with the ace high board? What's your threshold for betting your ace highs? Ace high boards, you mean betting top pairs on an ace high board? Do you ever check a weak ace X on the ace high board? Do you ever check a weak top pair on the ace high board? If you're talking about button big blind, the probability is low unless the board is like ace king X or ace queen X or like monotone or something. So if the board is ace high and not ace king X or ace queen X or monotone, it's big blind versus like some other position, especially if that position is not the button. Then I'm probably going to be betting. And I probably won't be checking like, weak ace X hands there. But if we're talking about situations where it's where I'm like the in position player against, under the gun, then that's different. And for sure I would check. Do I think the sit and go format will ever come back? Probably not. I think that I don't think the sites, I think that's more of a person, like a human behavior thing than the viability of the format. I think that like once a site operator decides based on data that a format is dead, they're unlikely to try to like innovate around it and bring it back. I think that like, you kind of learn over time like what works and what doesn't work. And if you reach a conclusion that like sit and goes don't work, then I don't think you're going to test them to try to bring them back. So it seems unlikely, even if they would work, that we would find out if they would work. I think this is pretty close. I think I can just call here too. This is pretty cheap, so. And it's like possible that I don't want to have a calling range, like much of a calling range. I think the queen's high enough that I do want a calling range, but yeah, I think it's sort of whatever. I think once we get here, I have like some 8-7s and some 8-6s that could value bet. I also have some queen X that could like block like this. I think it's like a reasonable river bluff on an 8 river. I don't think it's like an amazing river bluff, but I think it's like fine-ish. So just check down to the river and then this in position player bets 10k. Yeah, I mean like that's cool. Like I don't have that many hands that beat bluffs or anything, so I think it's okay for me to make the call there, but I don't feel great about it. You can jam, I think. Jamming makes sense. I think this like tends to be a pretty logical answer with a good part of my range, with 2 covering stacks behind in this format. Hopefully we win a race. Come on, let's win a race. Let's win a race. Fuck. God, man, can't win the important races deep. Getting kind of deep. So like the 115 people left. Sort of clutch spot there. Look at that, my watch is alerting me because I have an abnormally high heart rate. Told you guys. I wasn't lying when I said that I was like, I had a high heart rate from playing. Because I haven't played in a while. Like that spot's not that clutch. It's not that big of a deal. But like, I have to kind of manage it. Like that's my phone giving me, my watch giving me an alert that like my heart rate was spiking. I think if I had ace-5 I would call here, but I think, sorry, here. I think if I had ace-5 I would call, but I think with ace-6 I don't mind the fold. It's pretty dead. So that's cool. But yeah, that was like pretty much the spot of the day. Like that spot, like we obviously get it in deep here, run it with 10s. Not that we're like super deep going into this hand, but there's 100 people left in this tournament. So, like this is like the spot to win for us to have like a fun stream where we like final table something. So not that we can't final table something, like, but that was the spot. That was the spot. Is there any chance you could change to BBs? I mean, like, I hate playing in big blinds. I'm old. It just looks so ridiculous to me. I know everybody always asks whenever I stream if I could do that. Whatever, 55. I definitely didn't just quit a game. I definitely didn't just quit. That was definitely a replayer you would have seen. This is pretty close open over here. Like you could just fold. I don't think the EB difference is very meaningful. Well, that's kind of shitty. I don't think this range has bluffs in it, so I don't expect to be ahead. But we're flipping or we're not, I guess. So we're gonna call. God, because of the odds, obviously, right? But we're not gonna be ahead. So I ended up c-betting here, which is, you know, marginal at best. Face a 2-bet, call with a draw, draw into a boat. Fold versus barrels. It's not a very promising draw, but it's a draw. Occasionally have the best of it. Sometimes he gives up. My God, man, this thing. I told you guys, my heart rate's normally like 45, so that's my watch freaking out, thinking I'm dying. Relax, I just have queens, okay? I'm taking this fucking thing off. I don't need it warning me that I'm dying all the time. I'm fine. Fuck off. It's a pretty sick bluff if that player was bluffing. I'd rather bluff there with a spade in my hand, but, you know, sometimes I don't think I need it. I think it's close. It's hard to have a spade in my hand, basically. It's easy to be like, oh, it's better to bluff with a spade in your hand. Yeah, it's also better to bet the turn with a spade in your hand, isn't it? So, it's hard to have a fucking spade. Oh, it's better to bluff further down in your range. I'd probably bet the flop with the turn if I was further down in my range, though, wouldn't I? So, yeah. It's not perfect, but it's not that bad. Am I paying attention to NBA? Nah, I only really follow like fighting and like, you know, so MMA and jiu-jitsu. Between MMA, jiu-jitsu, business, markets, my family, I top out. I don't have any more time. And reading books too. I read a lot of books. I just read. I've just finished Money Once It Came Where It Went by Galbraith. It's like a financial history. I like Galbraith. Galbraith's a smart dude. He's witty. He's got like good prose. Like he's smart, but the book was a little dry, if I'm being totally honest. Niall Ferguson's Ascent of Money, which is like, I think that's the first financial history that I've read. I think it's probably a symptom of financial histories that the more you read them, the more boring they get, because you've read a lot of it before. But Niall Ferguson's Ascent of Money is my favorite financial history. So, but yeah, man, I just don't have enough time. But sports are great, but I just don't have enough time to keep up with like MMA. And I'll also sports bet like a little bit, mostly because it's profitable and it's fun. So like it's fun. I don't know which one comes first, because if I was losing, I would quit. So I haven't made a ton sports betting. I've probably made like 20 or 30,000 or something. But yeah, if I was losing, I would definitely quit. So I have to win for it to be fun, like on average. But I'm like, if I'm break even-ish or whatever, like I'm fine with it. I don't care. It's fun. So as long as I'm like winning a little, I still want to be getting crushed. You know what I mean? It's like how recreational players are with poker. Like I'm not a professional sports bettor. I don't have to win all the time. But like if I was getting crushed, I would quit. So I can't handle making losing bets like regularly. It's just like knowingly, like deliberately making a losing bet. Can't do it. But I can sports bet a little bit. It's fun. And yeah, I've won over like a multi-year sample, so I'm fine with it. But I have to keep it to like fighting, and then I watch jiu-jitsu. Yeah, that's it for sports. When asked if you can change the big blind, you said I'm old. It's like, I really want to see the stacks without counting. I know, but I really want to see the stacks with counting. That's what I mean by I'm old. I've only played in chips. So when someone says, can you play in big blinds? I'm like, but it just looks ridiculous. Like, to me, it looks ridiculous. I have to be counting when I'm playing. It just feels wrong. So, I mean, 25 BBs, like, this feels gross when he does this size. This hand's supposed to stack off here, I think, though. This guy can be uncapped, but this guy can't. Yeah. Like, this is probably kings, and like, this is probably stupid, but like, I'm not really supposed to fold this hand, I don't think, here. Yeah, it's kings, like aces, whatever. Like, it sort of felt like it when he does this dumb sizing instead of just jamming, but like, it's kind of ridiculous for me to assume that that's what it is. Like, at least a little ridiculous, because I don't know anything about the guy. So, like, the stack off range when he jams, like, when it goes like this and he rejams like 25 BB, it's probably ace queen as the bottom versus shove. I think it's probably closer. This might be foldable because this player's on 20. So like this player can have traps, right? So, but like, is this player trapping enough at 20 for me to like discount this range? Because like when this guy calls, he's got a dead range. Right. So like this could just be like a clever thing to do with like pocket tens or something, or like pocket jacks. Feels rough to fold with like all this dead money out there against this stack size. So I don't know. I probably should have folded because like, I mean, it's definitely the bottom. Like you obviously can't go with the ace jack offsuit, so it's definitely the bottom. So it's like sort of zero-ish, and like I kind of thought I was fucked. So like if I think that it's zero-ish, I should probably have folded, but I don't know. I was a little worried that it wasn't zero-ish, to be honest. That's pretty much what it came down to. So I was a little worried that it's like better than a little bit, because maybe he's just like not dumb and he's got like, you know, like I said, tens and stuff in that range. This spot sort of blows, but this hand's just not worth much money as a check, so just ends up losing a lot of EV when you say check. Like betting this is kind of sucks, because if I get raised, I can easily get pushed off the best hand. So reopening the action is sort of dangerous, but so is, you know, this is like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like reopening the action is dangerous, and it's like, yeah, well, as it turns out, checking's also dangerous, so what are you gonna do? It's pronounced Neil Ferguson, is it? Good to know, thank you. No, I don't mind being corrected at all. His name's Neil? Great. I've never actually heard someone say his name. I just buy his books. I haven't started yet. I don't know why there's something in there, but I haven't started yet. That's one that I have to read. 2, I'll read this one later. Same author. All right, Ferguson. Yeah, you can see the name right now. And 3. See, I like this guy. He's a good author. But I've never heard someone say his name. So, Neil Ferguson it is. Can I talk about how to navigate the ICM factors in huge tournaments versus smaller field MTTs? I mean, I would think about them mostly on a whatchamacallit, like percentage of field left basis. So I don't think it would matter too much if there's like, you know, if there's like 1,000 people cash, okay, and there's 1,100 left, right? I would view that as being strategically similar to 100 players cash and 110 are left, okay? Or 10 players cash and 11 are left. For the most part, right? So, gonna fold. Gonna check here, although I think it's close. King, queen against kings. Not the best spot for king, queen, sir. Not the best spot for king, queen at all. Oh fuck, did I misread the stack size with the ace queen? Oh my god. If only it was in big blinds. Lulz. Oh my god, I did misread the stack sizes with fucking ace queen. Oh my god. Now I know I'm getting old. Oh my god. Alright, how do we switch this shit to fucking big blinds? Where is it? It's over here. It's up here somewhere. How do we fucking do this shit? Table settings. I don't even know how to do this. That's pretty frustrating though, because I don't do that very often. But I guess things happen. Gameplay. See, like, where do you guys even fucking do this? Advanced. Oh my god, this is terrible. I'm doing too many things. Check all the flop. I'm gonna check all the turn. It's not a very good river. Oh my god, that guy had 50 fucking big blinds, guys. That guy had 50 big blinds. That guy was supposed to have 25 big blinds. Oh my god. I got fucked up with that stupid bet size. Oh god. Yeah, I can't even figure out how to fucking put this shit in big blinds. I can't. I've never done this shit before. I can Google it. Sort of interesting. I don't really want to bluff with king high, but I'm kind of at the bottom of the king X curve, so it's like kind of tempting to bluff with like king 7, king 6. King 6 obviously is a different hand than this one. Makes it close, but I think this is close on the turn as well. I don't think this is like an easy call. I think you could have, maybe it might be an easy fold. There's a lot of 3x asymmetry that belongs to the big blind here that I have to respect. So, but the turn seems like a mix. That's so funny that it fucking misclicked after the, or like misread the stacks right after saying that I can't stand big blinds. I can't play in big blinds, man, but like I'll still try to do it if I'm gonna fucking misread the stacks. Feel pretty stupid now, I'll tell you that much. This is why I didn't play the 10K today. I haven't played poker in ages. Easy to make stupid mistakes. I don't know what they're gonna be. So if you would have asked me before the session started if I was gonna fuck that up, I would have said no. It's not the best hand. Yeah, king 9 off, so not that close. Well, this is gonna be good for what looks like 18 big blinds, but I guess you never really know. Oh my gosh. Take diamonds. I'll take a king. Yeah, I'm pretty greedy to ask, but you know, gotta ask. I mean, it's not that this isn't plus EV, it is definitely plus EV. The question is more like, do I want to be one tabling the 109 tomorrow? Like, not really. I guess I can make sure that I just re-enter this, and then I won't be one tabling it, but I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I get heartbroken and I just call it. Click on your stack, they say. Like they're magicians out here. Fuck. This guy's click on this. Look, I'm clicking like crazy. Click, 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 click. Nothing happens. Can't be bothered. Okay, what do we do here? It's close. We could just not fuck up counting in chips again. We could just do that. That's the other solution. Just leave it out of big blinds and just not make that stupid ass mistake again that I'm not supposed to make. Oh shit. That's a very, very, very sexy river. So once he leads, like he's basically trying to be like, I have ace king and you don't, or like I have queen jack or something like that. But like it's a very polar thing that he's saying, and so the answer here just becomes jam. Either I have a boat or I don't, so it's not like, it's not really a spot for like making like 90,000 or something. Like, I don't think that's like really the play. Like I just like, I have a boat, I'm all in, huh? Like, I hope you have a boat too. Like, hope you have jack 10. Looks like he actually does have ace king, maybe like ace king of clubs or something. I'm like, oh, I have a 9, like a 9. I'll take a call from a 9. Yeah, well, didn't I have king 6 offsuit? Yeah, I had king 6 offsuit. That's why I folded. I said this is king 9. Like, as in king 9 is the bottom of the range that I would have played. Not as in like king 6 is king 9, but as in, hold on, like I'm not that bad, okay? I'm not that bad. All right, we're gonna go do a little bit of walking. Go do a little bit of walking around. All right, I might actually re-enter that fucking 109 now, cause yeah, I'm gonna do that now actually before I leave. I'm gonna enter that 109 again. Okay, 109, let's play you again. Why are we playing it again? Because now we have a lot of chips in the 1K, so now there's a good chance I'm here for a while at least. So it looks like I'm going to be locked in for a bit. And they end at the same time, I think, right? They should end at the same time. So ends after level 17 is completed for this one. It's usually like around 7 p.m. of my time, right? So in like 4 hours or so. What am I done? Level 16. What level are we on now? Level 12. So 2 hours, 5 o'clock. That's not bad. All right, I'll be back in a few minutes.